Hey guys, I am Daisho and I am here bringing you a video today. And today the video is going to be a little bit different than usual. In general, I give you videos for the Magic, the Gathering, Duels of the Planeswalkers 2012 on the Xbox or PS3 or Steam, whatever. But today I'm going to do a little bit different, and I'm going to actually show you cards magic. So the other day I did a draft. I've been doing a bunch of drafts recently, but I did draft, which is basically each person, you get 8 people together, each person gets 3 packs. You take one card out of the pack, and then you pass the rest of the pack to the left of you or to the right of you. And then through that, you're able to make a deck. You're able to make a 40-card deck, 23 cards, and then about 17 lands, which is about 40%, a little bit higher than 40%. And basically, you just play the other people in the draft, and it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't done it, then you should definitely figure out how. You can go to like your local comic book store or whatever, and then do that. But anyway, I wanted to show you the deck that I made. Last time was the first time that I won. I've done a few, and I've gone 2-1 most of the time. The 2 times I went 1-2, and last night I went 3-0, and I won, I guess. So that was a really good draft for me, and I wanted to show you the deck that I ran. Okay, I will now turn it over to the cards. Alright, so you can actually kind of read these pretty well. So this is Young Wolf. He is one of my, actually I'll just like zoom out. These are all the cards. You can't really see them from here. If you recognize the pictures, you should be able to. But anyway, let's go zoom back in. Anyway, this is Young Wolf. He's a 1/1 Undying for 1. So if you haven't heard of Undying, here's the ability. But when the creature dies, if it has no +1/+1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under the owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So when it dies, it comes back and it's a 2/2. And I had 2 of these guys. They're very good. They are pretty much, I think I took them 2nd and 3rd overall, or maybe 3rd and 4th or something like that, and I was very happy to get both of them. Once I saw those 2 guys, I knew that I was going to try to make a green deck. Avacyn's Pilgrim is very good too, especially if I was trying to run a green-white deck, and I got this guy. He is a 1-drop green, and he taps for white mana. So if you've ever heard of Llanowar Elves, he's basically Llanowar Elves, he taps for white, so that's pretty cool. Doom Traveler, this guy actually, you know from the game, but he's very, very good. When he dies, he gets a +1. You get a 1/1 Spirit token out to the battlefield. So already you've seen, if you kill this guy, you get a 1/1. If you kill this guy, he comes back as a 2/2. They're both 1-drops. I heard that's 4 1-drop creatures already. And I even had another one that I drafted that I didn't even run, Sanctuary Cat, which is just a 1/2 for 1. So it's like the anti-ace. If it was ace, if it was a 2/1 for 1, I definitely would have found a place for it in the deck. But anyway, Doom Traveler I was really excited about because he came to me late in the pack, and in general people value Doom Travelers very highly. So I got him like about 7 or 8 other people had already passed him. So I was very happy with that. Anyway, next card here is another reason that I did pretty well, which is Prey Upon. Target creature you control fights creature you don't control. So when a creature's fight, they basically there's one card that does it, the Colossus in not the Colossus, the Gladiator, Cyclops Gladiator or something. I don't remember exactly what it's called in Strength of Stone. The guy basically it's just one creature deals damage to the other. So if you have a stronger creature than them, then it's basically just a kill card. So it's a very good card. Prey Upon is really good, and it got to me later in the round. And here's another card. This is pretty much the absolutely necessary card in Innistrad if you want to run a green-white aggro deck, which is basically what this is, as you'll see in a moment. But put put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. So you can target 2 different guys, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and the best part is it's 1 in a green is the mana cost, and it's flashback cost 1 in a white. So basically, if you play a guy turn, or if you play a guy turn 1 or a guy turn 2 and a guy turn 3, then turn 4 you can just play Travel Prep and then flash it back, and then you got 4 more power than your opponent was expecting, and that's not very good. This guy, Dark Thicket Wolf, is pretty decent. He's a 1 in a green for a 2/2 right there, and his ability is 2 in a green, and he gets +2/+2. So it basically is sometimes useful in the ability, sometimes really not as much, not so useful, because you don't really want to tie it. Like, you basically use all your mana for the turn, and then in response they'll kill it or something like that. Or so it's good sometimes, not all the time. But it's definitely still a 2/2 for 2 and really good in aggro tech, so I was happy with that. Bonds of Faith. This is one of the better cards in my deck. I picked this really early in the round, 2nd or 3rd, I think. But Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 as long as it's a human. Otherwise, it can't attack or block. So, in general, you're going to use it for the second ability. You're going to put it on a non-human to make it not able to block or attack. And the other ability is still pretty decent. Like, I mean, I never use it as +2/+2, but I do have a bunch of humans in this deck, so I would be able to do that. Speaking of humans, Unruly Mob. This guy is a 2-cost 1/1 that whenever another creature dies, you can put a +1/+1 counter on him. I don't really like him that much. He did not do too well for me, but he did alright. Here is the Scorned Villager, who is a 1 and a green, and it's one of the new werewolf flip cards, so I'll show you the other side in a second, but its ability is to tap 1 and add a green to your mana pool, so that's okay. Gives you some mana ramp. Turn 2, like I wouldn't run this guy if it was just that, but it has a flip side, so at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform it, and then you basically just flip it over. And it is a 2/2 vigilance, and you can tap to add 2 green to your mana pool, so could really help out, especially if they don't have a play turn 3 and you're on the play. Or if they don't have a play turn 2 and you're on the play, or if they don't have a play turn 3, then this guy flips and you got like 5 mana turn 4, 5 mana turn 3. It's pretty cool. Dawn Treader Elk I really like. He's a 2-cost 2/2 with the ability to sacrifice him to search for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So it's really a great ability, especially, I mean, if you're running more than 2 colors in a draft in a 6-card deck, then you're definitely going to want to, I mean, these guys are really, really clutch for you. But he does cost a green, and he does cost 1 and a green, and he does cost a green to sacrifice it, so it's sometimes hard to get it off. But, like, if you swing in with it, and then they decide to block it, and you don't really want to just kill their creature off, you want to get a basic land onto the battlefield already, then you can just sacrifice this guy. I've actually, a couple of times I've been a little bold, and I've thought that my opponent was just swinging in with him in order to hope that he can get through, and then he was going to sacrifice him anyway. So what I do is I sometimes block with a creature that's a little bit better, and probably wouldn't be worth the trade for me, and then they end up just trading, and I'm like, oh, well, thought I was being clever. But anyway, let's move on to Hamlet Captain. Midnight Haunting, get out of the way. This is Hamlet Captain. Whenever it attacks or blocks each human creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. I have a bunch of humans: Avacyn's Pilgrim, Doomed Traveler, Unruly Mob. This guy is a human on the other side. Scorned Villager is Elder Cathar, Midnight Guard, Village Bellringer, Elgato Inquisitor, Thraben Sentry. So there's a lot of humans in this deck. Ability really helps. If not, he's a 2/2 for 2. Look at that. Like, all of my guys are basically a 2/2 for 2. Unruly Mob isn't, but he becomes pretty big usually. Anyway, Midnight Guard is a 3-drop, so we're getting to 3 drops now. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap Midnight Guard, so he's a 2/3. And he basically has Vigilance, because I'm laying creatures every single turn. This is Rebuke, which is one of the only hard removal spells in the deck. I guess Prey Upon is usually a hard removal spell. But anyway, destroy target attacking creature. I'm happy I got one of them. That's all I really needed. I probably would not have run a second if I did. Anyway, this is Elder Cathar, 3-drop. When it dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. If that creature is a human, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it instead. So this guy didn't really help me much. He was basically a 3-drop 2/2. Nobody really wanted to kill him, but I mean, that's also a good thing. Like, if nobody wants to kill him, then you're getting in for 2, at least 3 if you got a Hamlet Captain out. So definitely helped me a little bit. Not the best addition. The problem is sometimes he dies and you target a creature to put 2 +1/+1 counters on him, and then your opponent just kills him and kills that guy in response. So watch out for that. But he's a pretty good guy. Midnight Haunting, one of the best cards in the deck. It's instant. You guys know it from Dark Heavens, but put 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. These guys are, I mean, it's just a great card. You play during their end step, and then all of a sudden you have 2 power coming in the air every turn, and they're gonna die pretty quickly, because especially since if I draw it late game, then I've already gotten them down to a low life with my incredibly aggro deck, and then there you go. Then there's Midnight Haunting. Village Bellringer. I didn't really play any tricks with him. He ended up really being a 1/4 for 3 with Flash, which isn't bad. But normally when it enters the battlefield, untap all creatures you control. So if they swing in after you swing in and then you play Village Bellringer, then they're not going to be in a good situation. Thraben Sentry, 4-cost 2/2 Vigilance. but its ability is awesome. When another creature you control dies, you may transform it, so it transforms and it never comes back, unlike the Moonsguard Werewolf, where if either player casts 2 or more spells, then you can transform him. So anyway, Thraben Militia is a 5/4 with trample, and that's the other side, so that's pretty cool. Fester Hideboar is an awesome card. It's a 4-cost trample with morbid, which means that if a creature died this turn, then it'll enter the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, which is pretty nice. Kessig Recluse, 2 green for 2/3 reach death touch. This card's pretty cool. It'll kill anyone, and if you swing in with it, they don't want to block it, so it can get you in for that extra a little bit of damage. Love that. And he's got reach, so it's really the only well, actually there's one other card that deals with flyers in the main deck. Actually, Midnight Haunting, Kessig Recluse, and then one other card, so there's plenty of stuff that gets in there in terms of reach, so I guess I was pretty good with that. This guy's Elgaud Inquisitor. He's a 4-cost 2/2 lifelink. When it dies, I get a 1/1 flyer, so he's a 4-cost 2/2 lifelink with Doom Traveler on him. He's not great, but he is pretty useful even in an aggro deck because, okay, so they don't want to block him, so you gain life, which you're going to basically be tapping out every turn to attack, and the little bit of life can really help. And they don't want to block him because when he dies, you get a 1/1 flyer. In addition to Midnight Haunting, that's a lot of flyers. It's good enough against most decks. Briarpack Alpha. Flash. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+2 to end a turn. It's actually really funny when I use this. So my opponent, I basically swung in with one of my mid-range creatures, I'm not really sure who, and then my opponent played Ambush Viper, and they traded because Ambush Viper is a 2/1 flash death touch. And then the next turn, he swung in with one of his creatures. I think it was his Ulinval Bears, which was, I think that's what it's called. It might not even be, but it's basically a 2/2 with Morbid for 2 +1/+1 counters on any creature. So it was a 4/4, and then I'm like, I play my better Ambush Viper because this guy didn't even trade. He was just a 5/5. This is actually the card that I took in the first pack, first overall. So there you go. It's not like the best card ever, but it definitely was the best card in the pack, or at least I thought it was, so I was happy. And then there's this card, which most people don't really know how to evaluate it. I took it pretty early, and I didn't run it in my first game, but by the end I had it in the main deck. Anyway, it is a 6-cost 4/5. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may have it deal 4 damage to target creature with flying, so deals with flyers. It's just a 4/5 for 6. Helped me win one of my games at least. Like the second I played this card, my opponent scooped because I killed his biggest creature, and yeah, there you go. That is the deck. That is Daisho's Sexy 23. I ran like 9 forests and 8 planes, and that was my mana base. So hope you guys enjoyed that video, and let me know if you want me to do stuff similar to this in the future. Have a nice day. Bye.